Hi, VE3HDB, Dave in Scarborough. Another video following our field day experiments. Myself and VE3VLU Steve went out together to a local park called Bluffers Park, which is not far from where I live, and we set up the portable station, the magnetic loop, which you've seen in a prior video, and my TS50 powered by a lead acid, non-leakable lead acid battery. Pardon me. So we got out there about noon on field day, and no, actually it was about well, it was just before field day started, anyways. Say 11:30 Universal Coordinated Time, or Zulu if you prefer. And we set up and immediately made some contacts. One was in Pennsylvania, another was in somewhere in the south, and received 5.9 and 5.5 reports running at approximately 12 watts. And then the field day started, and we didn't have much luck because there was a lot of big guns on and a lot of pileups and things like that. And when you're only running 20 watts, that doesn't work very well. But it did prove that these portable stations powered by batteries using homemade antennas will work. And I was quite happy with the results. The day before I worked Ottawa, and it was actually on the opposite side of my building. I was out on my balcony, and I was able to work the transprovincial net and received not so good reading. He could hear me. He had a bit of a noise level, and I was just above it, but he was able to make the copy. He got my call signs and my QTH and that sort of thing, so it does work. We're going to try again on a non-field day when the bands are not so congested and when there aren't so many pileups, and see what kind of signal reports we can get from around the world, maybe, and certainly within North America. Also, the band conditions have not been ideal, especially on the lower bands. The higher bands, and I wanted to see if I could do something on, say, 15 meters. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of activity on 15 meters. There was some CW, but I'm a little rusty in that respect, and I like to have a computer to back me up in case I get lost during the queue, so I can look up on the screen and see what's being transmitted. I never was really that much of a CW person. I don't have a lot of practice in that area. It's something I want to get back into, so we can do some really portable, really bare bones ham stations. So that's something I got planned for the future. Our field day went well. Steve and I certainly enjoyed the beautiful weather we had that day, and we found a nice picnic table in the middle of Bluffers Park to set up our station, and we had a really good time. So we're planning to do this again in the near future, and head out on a Saturday morning to a nice quiet hydro noise quiet, so that the bands, we can hear things. In my apartment, I have at any given time a fairly high noise level, so it really precludes any weak signals. Unfortunately, I can get out quite well. I can see myself when I'm using PSK 31 or FT 65. I can see that I'm being received by stations all over the place using a PSK reporter website, which gives you a pretty good idea. Not only does it tell you that you've been heard, but it tells you roughly how well you were heard, what the decibel readings were, that sort of thing. So you know if you've got a nice low minus dB rating that they're hearing you quite well. But I don't get a lot of weak stations back, so I don't know, maybe they're hearing me better than I think, but I'm not hearing them because of the noise level. So that sort of thing on a field day would be, when I mean field day, I mean going out and transmitting in a portable setup. The purpose of all this is so that I can go out and test my equipment, so that in emergency conditions or just for recreational conditions, we can set up a portable station where there's no AC or that sort of thing, and run on batteries for a while. I have a nice big, what did it say it was? I think 20 amp hour battery, which I think will supply my little TS50 for quite a while, at least long enough to work some stations. And the little magnetic loop that I've made is quite portable, and I've even got some ideas how to make it even more portable. So we'll be reporting back in the future on how well that goes. I've got some ideas I've got from a website where a fellow specializes in magnetic loops, and he even has one that'll fit into a case the size of a violin case. So it's very, very, very portable. And I'm hoping to see if I can pick up some bare bones QRP type rigs that I can use on multiple bands, so we can put it into a backpack and it's not going to be quite heavy. Right now with the backpack, my radio and the battery, it's over 25 pounds, and that's a lot to carry for a great distance. Steve VE3VLU was quite nice and helpful in carrying the whole setup into the park and back out. So maybe sometime in the future we can do take a little hike with the radios and set up somewhere. I'm looking for something on a fairly high altitude so that we can find out how it works there. So that's the report from VE3HTB and VE3VLU from Field Day, and I hope to be able to make some more videos in the future with actual test environment. I did take a video, but for some reason it didn't turn out, so I can't include it here, but we hope to be doing some of that in the future. And also we'll do, I'll do a video on exactly how I made the antenna. And believe me, if I can do it, you certainly can do it. It's a very simple concept. I just basically kind of got a hunk of RG58X and an old mop handle and an old tripod, and put everything together. Ordered a tuning condenser from China, and when that arrived, we were in business. So it's really a simple antenna, and it can be made fairly easily and fairly quickly. So if you can get your hands on the hardest thing to source, of course, is the tuning condenser. And I've seen some examples of how to make those, make a variable capacitor out of Coke cans. That's something I want to try too, because that really fires my imagination to make it completely homebrew, including the condenser. And the nice thing about the Coke can condenser is it will handle up to 100 watts, which would be nice. So we got some stuff to play with this summer and into fall, and hopefully I'll have some reports on that. So 73 from the shack of VE3HTB, and Steve VE3VLU sends his regards as well.